Even in death, the bitter hostility between President Trump and Senator John McCain seemed to supersede any effort to wipe it away. Finally, tonight, President Trump said, "We very much appreciate what Senator McCain has done for our country, but it took 2 long days of turmoil and lots of screaming reporters before the president finally spoke up."
Also, our hearts and prayers are going to the family of Senator John McCain. Going to be a lot of activity over the next number of days, and we very much appreciate everything that Senator McCain has done for our country. So thank you very much.
The president making his first comments of the day, speaking about the death of former Senator John McCain.
President, any comment on John McCain, sir? Mr. President, why won't you call John McCain a hero, sir?
But for most of the day, President Trump was mute on the subject as reporters continued to fire questions at 5 different photo ops and got nothing in return.
Why won't you say anything about John McCain?
And instead of an official White House statement honoring McCain and mourning his death, there was this tweet to the McCain family. "My deepest sympathies and respect go out to the family of John McCain. Our hearts and prayers are with you." The Washington Post reports the president rejected a proposed White House statement on McCain's death, drafted by the White House staff. And flags at the White House, which were at half staff on Sunday night, were returned to full staff on Monday, only to be lowered again later in the afternoon when the American Legion complained about it. Longtime CBS News anchor Bob Schieffer says he's never seen anything like this in all his years of covering the White House.
To me, this was making a mockery of one of our most solemn tributes to our finest people. I've never seen, in all my years in Washington, this kind of thing where the American Legion has to write the president and demand they lower the flag to half staff. I think John McCain is going to be remembered as a great man. He certainly was, in my estimation.
And later in the day, 2 days after McCain's death, the president finally issued a brief statement from the White House. "Despite our differences on policy and politics, I respect Senator John McCain's service to our country, and in his honor have signed a proclamation to fly the flag of the United States at half staff until the day of his interment." But it came only after the president of the American Legion urged the president to honor McCain. "On the behalf of the American Legion's 2 million wartime veterans, I strongly urge you to make an appropriate presidential proclamation, noting Senator McCain's death and legacy of service to our nation." Navy fighter pilot Captain Charlie Plum from Westlake Village, who was shot down over Hanoi and spent 6 years as a prisoner of war in North Vietnam, watched from his prison cell when John McCain was carried into the prison.
This guy came in on a stretcher, 2 guards carrying a stretcher in through the gate. All I could see was bloody rags on top of the stretcher. I had no idea who it was. They put this fellow into a cell 2 doors down from me in this prison camp. Every day I could see more bloody rags coming out of his cell.
But President Trump, prior to his comments tonight, has over the years launched verbal assaults on the concept that McCain was a war hero.
He's not a war hero.
He's a war hero.
He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
McCain seldom engaged Trump in verbal back and forth, but couldn't resist this reference to Trump's medical exemption from military service during the Vietnam War.
One aspect of the conflict, by the way, that I will never, ever countenance is that we drafted the lowest income level of America, and the highest income level found a doctor that would say that they had a bone spur. That is wrong.
But Trump's grudge against McCain grew even more intense when McCain, in a dramatic and decisive late-night vote, turned thumbs down on President Trump's plan to repeal and replace Obamacare, a vote that Trump never forgot.
We had a gentleman late into the morning hours go thumbs down. That was not a good thing he did. That was not a good thing for our people, for our country, whether you're Democrat or Republican.
But McCain's farewell to life included a statement read by his former presidential campaign manager and family spokesman, Rick Davis, which is a clear slap at President Trump without ever mentioning his name.
"We weaken our greatness when we confuse our patriotism with tribal rivalries that have sown resentment and hatred and violence in all the corners of the globe. We weaken it when we hide behind walls rather than tear them down.
But Trump loyalists defended his refusal to pay tribute as an act of honesty and reality.
If the president put out a flowery statement about John McCain's life, the media would criticize it and say it is not consistent with the other things he said in the past.
And even as Mr. Trump for many years had falsely claimed that Barack Obama wasn't born in the United States, it was Senator McCain at a campaign event when he was running against Obama who took the high road and told the truth when a supporter made that claim.
He's an Arab. He is not. No?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Now, while President Trump was not invited to and will not be participating in any of the memorial ceremonies for Senator McCain, he has asked if Vice President Mike Pence could speak at one of them. And Chief of Staff John Kelly and Defense Secretary James Mattis are also expected to attend at least one of the ceremonies. Pence and Kelly reportedly pushed the president hard to release a statement praising McCain's service to country. But the Washington Post says Mr. Trump resisted until it became clear he had to do something.